If you're editing in DaVinci Resolve, you probably know how powerful it is, but you also know how much time some things take and that it's not always as simple as it should be. Whether it's color grading, animation, audio cleanup, or just keeping your workflow efficient, having the right tools can make a huge difference. So in this video, I will share 7 of my favorite tools for DaVinci Resolve, tell you how they work, why I use them, and whether they might be worth checking out. Everything I mention is linked in the description, so if something sounds useful to you, you will find it there. And this video is sponsored by Artlist, which just got a really nice new feature for Resolve users. More about that later in this video. Let's get into it. Maybe you've noticed that I color grade all my videos in HDR for quite some time now, and that was a little problem in the beginning because I still wanted to have a film look, just a more modern one with brighter highlights and completely without bending. Thanks to 10-bit in HDR, that's actually possible. And that's where Look Designer by Color Lab comes in, and it's something I've used a lot for about a year now. If you've never heard about Look Designer or don't know what it is, it's essentially a similar plugin as Film Convert or Dehancer, but it gives you quite a few different options to essentially emulate a whole print film workflow as far as possible. And what makes this plugin special is that it works inside DaVinci Wide Gamut and many other color spaces, which means that it integrates perfectly into DaVinci Resolve's color management, and you can therefore output SDR and HDR and literally everything else that Resolve can handle. It's super easy to use. You just use Resolve's color management as always, using DaVinci Wide Gamut, assigning the input color space, etc. And then you create a node, assign Look Designer, and switch the input and output color space to DaVinci Wide Gamut. Makes sense, right? Because that's your timeline. Then you create your film looks with all the film stocks and other settings below, and there you have your look. And you can use all the normal DaVinci Resolve tools before and after applying Look Designer, just as if you would work usually, because those are not LUTs, but essentially transforms, not color space transforms, but like mathematical equations. And what I really like about it is how it handles its film stocks and grading options, because Look Designer uses real film stock names and print options, so you can easily create and maintain a consistent look across all of your projects. So it actually gives you full control over all the film characteristics, color response, and contrast curves, so you're building a grade properly rather than just slapping on a preset. So if you're looking for a tool that works both across SDR and HDR workflows while keeping your colors consistent and with that nice film look, Look Designer is definitely worth checking out. Now, color grading is one thing, but what about motion graphics and animations? That's a big letdown in Resolve, in my opinion, as they make it a bit more complicated than it has to be. Yes, I'm coming from Final Cut. Maybe the Premiere users think differently about it, because overall Resolve is powerful when it comes to that, but just a bit more complicated. Anyway, I think we can all agree that manually keyframing zooms, flines, or movement effects can take up quite a lot of time. That's why I use Magic Zoom and Magic Animate by Mr. Alex Tech. Great channel, by the way. And there are free versions of both plugins out there if you want to try them. But of course, I got the pro version because we should support our fellow creators or educators on YouTube. What makes these plugins great is that instead of keyframing everything manually, these tools let you drag and drop effects either straight onto your clips or an adjustment layer, tweak a few settings if needed, and you're done. It also comes with a lot of preset animations. For example, you have this picture-in-picture bounce in effect, so you just drag it onto a clip and it's animated and looks great instantly. Or with Magic Zoom, you can create an adjustment layer, get all the settings right for your standard zoom in and out, save the adjustment layer into your power bin, and you can add zooms super quickly to your A-roll footage. So if you like adding subtle zooms for emphasis, smooth graphic animations, or flying effects, this is one of those tools that just makes editing in Resolve a lot faster without overcomplicating things. Definitely worth checking out. Of course, clean visuals aren't enough if your audio isn't great, and audio cleanup can be just as time consuming. Now, Resolve's built-in tools are pretty powerful, but I found they're not the easiest to use, especially if you're not an audio expert, and I'm certainly not one. Like every time I watch some tutorials about audio optimization, I just feel stupid. It's just not my thing. That's why I recently purchased Isotope RX11, which features the so-called Repair Assistant, and that's an AI-powered tool that automatically cleans up dialogue, does all the de-essing for you, and can even fix voice tone issues if your wireless mic, for example, wasn't positioned perfectly. Like, you know, when it's a bit too close under your chin, it can sometimes sound a bit muffled, and Repair Assistant can fix that. And the best part is that you don't have to do anything. It analyzes your audio automatically and suggests all the fixes. So instead of spending hours playing around with EQs and all the de-essing and so on, you can get clean, polished dialogue almost instantly. There is one thing to keep in mind about this plugin though, which is that it's quite heavy on your system. Like even on my M3 Max MacBook Pro, it can slow things down quite a bit. So I always apply it at the very end of my edit to avoid unnecessary lag. So if you're an audio dumbo like me, this is definitely one of those tools that makes your life a lot easier. It definitely does for me. Now let's move on to visual effects and creative tools, because our next one is packed with them, and that is the new Artlist tools, which includes 50 plugins that can spice your videos up quite a bit. And yes, you heard right, 50. I've edited that whole sequence completely with the new Artlist tools and also using their stock footage, music and sound effects, so you can see here how wild you can actually go with what they have to offer. And one of the best plugins in the new Artlist tools pack for me is automatic lens flares. Yes, you do also have lens flares available natively in DaVinci Resolve, but you always have to track them to the light source and the adjustments take a bit of time. So this plugin makes it quite a bit easier. You can just drop it on a node, adjust the intensity and other settings to your liking, and it looks pretty good and natural right away. It also comes with lots of presets for different flares, so you can play around a bit there. And beyond that, you also get lots of fancy effects like heat distortion, which is super nice, for example, to give shots in the desert an extra hot feel. You also get multiple cine and film look effects, which are great if you want more unique film looks or just make your footage a bit older, and that are a bit different than the ones you often see already on YouTube. And there's lots of others that are less important for my specific videos, but I'm sure many editors will have lots of fun with them. And it's all included in their Max subscription, together with their massive library of music, sound effects and AI voiceovers, which is huge if you're a freelancer or want to tell your stories in a different way. Let's actually use it now.
Artlist also just added high-quality lookup tables to their subscription, which saves you a lot of time color grading your videos with the look you want. And if you sometimes can't get a shot, don't worry, because Artlist even features all sorts of stock footage. But for that, I will let Pascal talk again.
Thanks, Mr. AI. Artlist stock footage is actually my favorite because most of it is available in RAW and log codecs, what makes it easy to color match to my own shots, especially when I color grade in HDR. And because all of that, Artlist has become the must-have subscription for video creators and editors, in my opinion, because this one subscription has pretty much all you need in one place. And of course, you don't have to go with the Max plan if you don't need all the features and want to save some money. Artlist has quite a few plans available, so you can choose whatever fits best. And if you need more in the future, you can upgrade at any time. Also, with the link in the description, you get 2 months for free on any plan. So definitely worth checking out. I've been using them for many years. Another effect that has become quite popular over the years is atmosphere and diffusion, or also called mist, and you usually use lens filters for that, but that's not always suitable and sometimes you don't have the right one, and doing that natively in Resolve often doesn't give you the exact look you want easily. And that's where Hazy from Film Convert comes in, which gives you a lot more control and is quite easy to use. Instead of just applying a general glow effect, Hazy mimics real diffusion filters like Black Pro Mist, Classic Mist filters, glow, and even smoke diffusion. And what makes it even better is that it also works with DaVinci Wide Gamut and other color spaces, making it a great option if you deliver in HDR. Now, it also comes with the problem that it slows your computer down quite a bit during exports, so if you want to use it on lots of your shots, you might still want to get a physical mist filter, but oftentimes it's quite helpful, especially if you had a mist filter on one lens and not on the other. That's actually often the case for me because I often bring two cameras but don't have two mist filters that fit the lenses I use. So despite the slower exports, it's still a plugin that I can recommend a lot if you want more natural mist filter emulations with a bit more control. That's definitely a plugin you might want to check out. And our next plugin is basically for color management, which we all love in DaVinci Resolve, but there is the problem that not all log profiles are available. For example, D-Log-M from DJI drones is always an issue, and the manufacturer's LUTs definitely help, but they are not always great to match the footage with your other cameras, and there are also no HDR transform LUTs available. That's where Cinematch comes in. You simply select your camera or drone and the picture profile you shot in and the camera profile you want to convert it to, similar to color space transforms in Resolve. And from there, you can either apply a Rec. 709 transform directly or feed it into DaVinci Wide Gamut for HDR and other profiles. And because it works non-destructively, you're not losing color detail like you would with a traditional LUT. So if you frequently shoot with cameras that aren't supported in Resolve's native color management, this tool can make a huge difference, keeping your color grading consistent. Okay, up until now we've mostly talked about plugins and tools that enhance editing, but what about actually working with other people? If you collaborate with an editor or need to sync projects across devices, Blackmagic Cloud changes everything. And yes, I know that's not a plugin really, but it's a service from Blackmagic you have to purchase extra, so it kind of is, and I found this to be one of the most useful features of DaVinci Resolve. If you're not familiar with Blackmagic Cloud, it basically replaces the process of exporting XML files and sending them back and forth with your editor together with all the media files, which you would usually have to relink all the time. That's super annoying. I did that before in Final Cut and it was a mess, and Blackmagic Cloud solves that by letting you or your editor edit the same project in real time, no matter where you or your editor are, and all of that in the easiest way possible. To do so, you simply create a project inside Resolve, drag in your footage, and Resolve automatically generates proxy files, which are essentially smaller versions of your video files to save space and speed up uploading all the clips. And those proxies automatically get uploaded to the cloud, where your editor, no matter where he is in the world, can access them instantly right within DaVinci Resolve, so you can literally shoot and upload more footage while he's already editing without any interruptions. And when the edit is finished, you can just make the last finishing touches and eventually the color grading and render the video on your computer. It's actually that simple, and I find it super useful when Daniel, my editor, edits my videos, because I have everything prepared for him by just dragging the footage into Resolve's media browser and writing him a message. The rest is done automatically by DaVinci Resolve. So if you're working with a team or even just want to edit on different devices without the hassle of moving files around, this is hands down the way to do it. And if you're using DaVinci Resolve on iPad, it even works there. Just keep in mind that the footage needs to be stored directly on the iPad instead of having it on an external SSD, because then it won't sync to the server. So that also makes it a super useful feature when you're on the go and you don't even want to bring your MacBook. So after using all these tools for quite some time, the question is which ones have made the biggest difference for me. And I can only say for my workflow, the most valuable new plugins I used, especially over the last year, have been Look Designer and Isotope RX11. Look Designer has made grading in HDR way easier for me, and Isotope has saved me countless of hours fixing bad audio and even enhanced my regular audio quite a bit. And Artlist definitely deserves another mention here because they have been adding new features all the time over all the years that I've been using them. There are actually videos on my channel that I could not have done as nicely without Artlist. So again, check Artlist out with the link in the description below to get 2 months for free. And let me know in the comments what's a must-have plugin or tool for you in DaVinci Resolve. And also check out this video here in the corner that I made about 2 years ago with even more plugins for DaVinci Resolve, because they are still very good plugins today. And yeah, thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.